That's weird though. It's weird that it's happening for some people because the first time this back channel came up, it was pretty much outside the room. I remember someone took a screenshot of it. I think it was somewhere at the bottom. Now it's inside the rooms, and I didn't see it in the hallway unless I didn't check. So it's crazy how it's starting like this. And I don't know, Jocelyn, if you have updated your app, because there was an update that happened for Clubhouse, but it didn't really have any new like notes like they usually have. But that update kind of is a firmware that probably would have what this feature is. And if I check the spinning wheel real quickly and I go to, how do you check what version this is again? Is it in, oh yeah, at the bottom, 0.1.44479. Is that what you have too?
She's probably looking.
Okay.
But yeah, the app update that you definitely need to make sure to do to see it. Mine auto updated, and so it just happened to be there. But there is a blog post on Clubhouse.com, as well as if you go into your small picture in the upper right hand corner and then click on the gear icon in the upper right hand corner, and if you click on the what's new, it has the information there about what the message, what the feature is, and then there's a couple of links in there. They did update the privacy policy too, so just FYI on that. And then yeah, there's a couple links to more information.
Sorry, you can probably totally hear me. I didn't even realize I don't need you guys. Didn't need to be interrupted.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm so glad that this is how we're starting this room, because this is information that is coming new to most of us, and I'm not sure if everybody has it. And this, let's actually try this. By a show of hands in the audience, if you can see what we're talking about in your own Clubhouse. Can you? Yes, somebody's raising a hand. Okay. So we see 1, 2. Okay. So 2 out of 4 people haven't gotten the app in the room yet. Okay, that's different. But it's all good. It's all good. It's definitely going to keep coming for sure. And I'm so glad that you guys are able to be here. This is a Pinterest and SEO marketing club. We're running this room for the 3rd time in a row. I'm so excited that we're here doing this once again, because this is something that we've been doing because we wanted to understand in the beginning, how do these apps work? Do they really work to our advantage? Are we just spending another dollar on another plan? How are we actually using this for our benefits and actually giving people value? So we've been able to do it 3 times now, which is today's the 3rd time. And we're going to be talking about Direcon versus Clubhub analytics for Clubhouse rooms. So we already know, if in case you've not been here, you need to know this, that Direcon and Clubhub are 2 third-party app tools that you can be able to use to track your clubs and your rooms based on how you're able to put that out there. You know, you can really track, the ratings, how things are working. It's a really, really good way to really understand what your room's about, what it's like, and how it feels. So I know we got our favorites, and I know the people's favorites as well, but I'd love Julie and Jocelyn to actually talk about the one that they use the most and why. So we'll start with Julie, and then we'll go to Jocelyn.
This is Julie, and yes, I am a Direcon person. That is what I use. I don't know. I have been a little bit absent from Clubhouse recently, just because life is happening, the world is opening up, all the things. But in general, it has been easy for me. It automatically tracks everything that I need it to, and all the things that I do. So just that makes it super easy. So when I dive back into Clubhouse again, I don't have to think about it, and I know that we're going to dive deeper into topics later. So I will leave it at that and pass it over to Jocelyn.
Hey, okay, so I'm going to go back to a previous conversation quickly. Yes, I do have it as an option on my Clubhouse app on my iPhone. I updated it as an option, the chat feature. But I can't access any rooms, and I can't access the chat feature. So I see it on the bottom of the screen, they're waiting for me to use, but I can't access it. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm going to try to undownload, re-download, uninstall. There we go. Uninstall and reinstall. But there's that. But I am a diehard, to answer the original question, I am a diehard Clubhub user. I have tried both. I have looked at both. The whole nine. I keep up with what Direcon is offering against Clubhub, and it's all great now, but I am a diehard Clubhub user. So that's my answer, and I'll pass it back. And I'll actually, I'll pose a question too. Julie, it doesn't sound like you use Direcon for clubs. It sounds like you just use Direcon for personal. I use mine as well for club. I use Clubhub for clubs as well as my personal. So there's that. I think Annabelle, you're next.
Hi everyone, this is Annabelle. I'm a business strategist, and I have been using the analytic trackers, both Direcon and Clubhub, as well as CH tools from time to time to really understand the health of my room, I guess is the best way that I can explain it. I started out with Direcon back in around February, and it has been an amazing tool to understand who is in each of the Clubhouse rooms. But also, as far as Clubhub.site, goes, it is the best way to kind of see other people's bios and profiles and all of the rooms on Clubhouse at a glance. So if you're ever trying to do market research or seeing if there's a room that you can hop into, or trying to see how long a room has been running, right? Clubhub.site has been really great in showing a little bit more visibility to a lot of the different rooms. The reason why I continue to use Direcon as well is because it's such a simple tool. And like Julie, they have a way for it to just automatically track your rooms and have a downloadable report. And so I've been using that just because sometimes, trying to start a room and get everything started, there's so many different steps that I didn't want to also be putting in a link into an analytic tracker. So I've been using Direcon just for the simplicity because it's a part of my system. But I'm also a huge fan of Clubhub.site. And as far as like CH tools goes, I'm excited to kind of see what they do around super fans and the people who are coming into your rooms over and over. There's a lot of things in the analytics that you can assume about your super fans. Like you can see how many hours they have listened to you, how many rooms they've been in. You can go back and look at the reports and see which topics they were interested in. But if they could make that even more of a dynamic dashboard, I think that would be very helpful to anyone that might be like a coach or course creator, or anyone that needs to really build things out on the relationship side. So I tend to be an analytic junkie, I guess you could say. Back to you, Favor.
Thank you so much, Annabelle. That's great. That's a great point you've mentioned. And with Julie and Jocelyn as well, it's great that we actually have, it's pretty much tie, because I'm a diehard Direcon fan, and I know Julie is too, so we're Team Direcon. And then we have Jocelyn, and we also have Annabelle as well with Clubhub. So this is what I want us to do, because I'm already looking at Clubhub. Sorry, I'm already looking at Direcon. And I don't know if Clubhub has this, and you guys can tell me, because I have the pro version for Direcon, but you can now connect your green room account to Direcon. I don't know if you can do that on Clubhub.
Your what account? Say that again. What account?
You can connect your green room account to Direcon and track your room on Direcon. Yes. I'm going to share my screen.
That's a problem then. I kind of like that. I'm gonna message Clubhub right now. And be like, yo, you working on Direcon too? Or Green Room, Spotify Green Room too?
Yeah, y'all got competition. Look at this. So when you think about Green Room, Clubhouse, Clubhub, Direcon, Green Room doesn't really have another tracking tool. And if Direcon picked up that way first, then you can only imagine what development cycles are going right now. Because I saw them when they first started. We couldn't even track clubs on Direcon when it first started, when it was in beta. I remember when it first jumped. And now it's tracking a lot of rooms. It's tracking rooms that people are leaving to. So I don't know. Is there anything new from Clubhub that I probably don't know yet?
Clubhub does track like how many people left the room, but doesn't track like where they went. I don't think. But they did just drop the whole clubs thing. Like you can download your full club list, like everybody in your club, which is kind of cool. And you can track rooms that you're not even inside your clubs. So I'm kind of excited about that. But I don't know if that's something that Direcon does as well. Like that full downloadable list, things like that.
Yes, it does. The full downloadable list, and it does track the rooms for clubs, even if you are not in the room. As long as you are an admin of the club, then you can add the club to Direcon and track all of those. So I do use it for that as well. And when I'm not in the rooms, I get notifications that they're being tracked and all of that information is in there.
This is exciting because I know one thing about Direcon is that they've really been focusing on community. I know Clubhub has also focused on community, but I think the UI part of it is really catchy for me because if you look at and I've been looking at the landing page for a long time for Direcon, when their page started, when they first had their homepage, it did not look anything close to the way it's looking now. Even now that I'm on it, because I had to refresh, I'm looking at it again and I'm seeing that they've partnered with Shopify, they've partnered with Eventbrite, they've partnered with Deezer, and they've partnered with Squarespace. So, and now Green Room is on top of that too. So I don't know where Clubhub is going if Direcon is really thinking about social audio and really focusing on creating content. I really want to know how this is working because if we have the back channel, if we have the DM feature right now activated on Clubhouse, and I'm looking at Direcon and I'm seeing that Shopify, Eventbrite, Deezer, Squarespace, and Green Room you can track now on Direcon, what is Clubhub doing that Direcon is already doing that we don't know about? So I'm not really on Clubhub. So Jocelyn, Annabelle, it would be great to hear, anything that is out there that could really stand out significantly from our last room last month. Does anyone have any updates?
I think you definitely stumped us. The only thing that I saw, and this is not Clubhub, but Tessel, who created the monitor.xyz, monitor.clubhouse.xyz, is also tracking Green Room. He has a Green Room tracker as well. So I know that there are other people who have it on their mind. And I know that Gary, as far as CH Tools, is trying to go with social audio as a whole. So I know that there seems to be this movement with Direcon as well of giving people a full dashboard of their analytics. So it's very interesting. And clubhub.site, even just from the name, right? Maybe they would need to switch things up. And I know Gary is changing his name as well to social something. I forget exactly what he's going to name it, but it's going to be more social audio based titling as well. So very interesting to kind of see, I would love to know from them what's behind, right? Wanting to give people a full social audio view and dashboard, because that could be very interesting to see, eventually. It would be great to know, which fans are on Clubhouse, which ones are on, Green Room, what types of content do they like on each platform. This is going to help creators make a lot of decisions, which I think that people are kind of considering right now, trying to figure out on their own. But as always, analytics help. So it would be very interesting to see how these things evolve. And with Jocelyn working so closely with Clubhub, I'm sure that they will bring in some of the Green Room aspects as well soon. And I don't know if anybody's doing Twitter Spaces or any of the other social audio platforms, because those are growing as well. So it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I think so too, because from what I'm seeing, even from an SEO point of view, Direcon has really taken that visual user illustration, that user experience to heart, because when they first started, they didn't really have all these partners. They didn't have any of these really nice content on their homepage. It was just something blank. You just sign up, you log in, and you're right in there. But now I'm looking at their SEO just a little bit, and their SEO description is: get detailed analytics about your room's audience, interests, and demographics. Identify the best performing rooms, topics, and moderators of your club. So when I'm thinking about it from an SEO point of view, the word best performing rooms, and then an LSI keyword which would now be like the leading platform for Clubhouse analytics, those are two different words, but they mean the same thing. So we're talking about best performing rooms and then leading platform for Clubhouse analytics. So if Direcon is with Green Room now, that potentially tells us that in terms of audio, in terms of other things that we are doing, especially on Clubhouse, any other social audio app that is not too far away, because think about it, Facebook and Twitter, those are independent. Direcon, Clubhub, independent, right? If you think about Spotify is with Green Room, but Clubhouse is independent. So now you can't really have Twitter Spaces in Direcon or Clubhub because it's already with Twitter and Facebook. So if there's any other social audio app that's coming, Direcon could be their first landing space because they already control Clubhouse and Green Room. So I'm really thinking hard about this, guys. So what are your thoughts? Because there's another point I want to bring out about Direcon that is really doing well, and not many people are using it right now for that reason. So we could go to Julie, Jocelyn, and Annabelle. I think Annabelle. Go ahead, Annabelle.
Yeah, I had one other thought because I was in a room yesterday all about getting brand sponsors. And they were talking about how, and I don't know specifically which analytics brands are starting to favor, but they were starting to talk about finally, right, how important having analytics over a long period of time are for creators who might be getting brand deals. And what she was saying is that could be for the micro influencer as well. So the more that we are tracking our numbers, the more we are positioning ourselves, but not every number is weighted the same. So I think that another niche that these analytic trackers might end up in is giving a more detailed, brand-facing analytic report that our creators could give to brands with the analytics that matter to them. Now, those are still being defined, right? We don't know exactly which numbers matter the most, but if we're talking about demographics, I know that that's going to be one if we can pull that data, right? Most people on Clubhouse don't know how to change their hand color, but Direcon is able to do female male, right? So that could matter. That could matter a lot to brands, as well as location in the world, right? Now that Clubhouse is getting more global, now that Clubhouse is getting more global, it's going to be very important for us to understand what percentage of my audience is in certain places in the world for the brands. And so I think that that's going to be another thing. I see Direcon making that differentiation, and I think that they could build it out and be something that is really great for creators to actually translate the information to brands and information that they want to know, versus being a room or moderator facing, right? There's different types of analytics that are important for different reasons. And so we have to also think about it in that way if we are thinking about brands at all.
Yeah, that definitely tells me that with these apps, their focus is not just to show you what's ranking, but more importantly is to tell you the number of listeners that are also being reached based on the amount of influence. Because on Direcon, if you go to the My Club section, you'll notice that there is something like it's kind of divided, and it's divided in a way that when you see the club, you see club followers, you see your rooms tracked, you see the listeners reached. So the listeners reached can be higher than your actual club, which means that if your club is open to people coming in or tracking rooms, you're going to get more listeners, which is going to build your visibility. Because when you scroll down, there's a section that says most followed clubs by topic of interest, and then we have about 5 top interests. We have entertainment, we have tech, we have hustle, we have variety, and we have marketing. So with those rooms and with those options, people don't really know how to use this analytics to them. So I just want to really go case study mode, at least for the next few minutes. And we can start with Julie, then we go to Jocelyn, and then Annabelle. And we can say from this starting point, when you use this platform like Direcon, for example, what have you been doing that has made a difference in your room impact when you're using Direcon Analytics or Clubhouse Analytics, whichever one that you prefer?
This is Julie. Being able to go in, one of the tools that's on Direcon that I think I like the most is when you are tracking a room, being able to see where people went when they left your room. Like that's a huge thing, because if they're going into another room that is the exact same thing that you're currently running a room on, something that's going on in that room is not what people are interested in. Maybe it got off topic, maybe, could be all kinds of different things, but having that insight and being able to see where people ended up after they departed your room, I think that that's super important, and it's a really helpful tool to have and a helpful tool to use just to have that insight, and going back and seeing what your audience interests are. I don't think those are always 100% accurate, because, people choose interests and then they forget to go back and do anything with them. But it does help a little bit, because it goes to show you where those people are spending most of their time or things that they're likely most interested in. So for me, being able to see where people go after they leave the room, it gives you real-time insight to say, hey, we need to get back on topic, or if there's a particular thing that you're speaking about that maybe you need to move on from. I think that is important.
It's a great point that you mentioned the interest and the rooms people leave for, because from what I'm seeing right now, especially in this room, I can see that it doesn't tell me what rooms people leave for, because it's pretty much an intimate room. And then on Direcon, when you reach at least 50 listeners, that's when you start to actually track your data. So if you're having a very small room, like under 50 people, you may not really get your audience insights all the time, if that makes sense, because you can't really track that until they're 50. That's one of the cons of Direcon that should change, because it just means that if you have less than 50 people, then your room doesn't matter. That's not true. Some people have impactful rooms and there are only 2 people in there. There are only 3 people in there. There are only probably 10 people in there. So you can't really size that based on who's in the room. So I think that's one thing that should change. But just based on interest, and I'm looking at this from an analytical point of view, the interest that actually this audience that has come in and gone out, especially with the time we're in, this is about 6 p.m. Eastern. So people are just winding down, and we can see that people are interested in performances, they're interested in support, interested in meeting people, networking, and advice. All this sounds like soft skills, human skills, just social skills. It's nothing like marketing or hustle. I don't see anything like that. So it also tells me, with the time of the day, if you're running your rooms, you also have to think about where are people interested in. Are you interested in doing performances at this time tomorrow? Are you meeting people? Are you networking? It really helps to actually curate your rooms, and you can actually get better data. That's what I think. So that's something I wanted to point out. So Jocelyn, you're next. If you have anything about Clubhub or interest or anything that's popping right now.
Yeah, no. Yes, but no. I know Clubhub and I have been working together, and in all honesty, I've kind of fallen off the last few weeks, been working on my business in my business versus doing a lot with Clubhouse and things like that. But one thing that we have been talking about and we have been working on, and I know it's set up on the back end, I don't think it's forward facing yet, is the opportunity to get sponsors, and the sponsors are able to see your data real time in your rooms right then and there, and also your sponsors are able to see how that specific room that you did, right? So for example, you're doing, a room like today, right? And somebody, let's say Clubhub sponsored this, right? Then they as a sponsor, them, the brand as a sponsor can come in and see. I know they're working on that, but in all honesty, I think Direcon and Clubhub are extremely comparable when it comes to information that they're giving. It's just they give it in 2 different ways. So I think it really depends on how you like to see your information come through, and also how much you want to spend, right? Because price points are also vastly different from what I've noticed between the 2. But that's just my kind of point of view so far. So there you go.
I think so too. That makes a lot of sense, because there are 2 prices, and those 2 price points also have, things on them. I know there was Clubhub. I don't know if it was Ultimate or Pro Plus. There was something that was coming. I don't know. It sounded like it was the biggest package. Is it out yet?
Yeah, so that'll give you access to all of your clubs and things like that. And yes, it is completely out. I know with my code it's like $89 $29 a month versus the $39 with my code that it is. I don't know what the actual full price is, to be honest, because I only ever see things with my code on it. But, so it's roughly $100 a month, right? Which, if you are truly building your brand and using clubs to do so, and especially if it's your own club, then yeah, it makes a big difference. But if you're not, then obviously that's not a huge pull for you. But the nice thing for me, like I said, is I can download everybody in my club, and we're retargeting them on Instagram, which makes it way easier to get in contact with everybody and, make our brand worth more money for sponsors. So that's how we're rolling.
Amazing. What about you, Annabelle? What are you working on?
Well, for me, it's community building at the moment. Brands are definitely in the future, so I'm keeping all that data. I know it's going to be important, but I think the first priority for us is really building the community, and so we're using it to build high level nurture and engagement. So we are, pulling the reports, actually going and building relationships on other social platforms like Instagram and possibly Twitter in the future, and getting to know our community really, really well to build a base community, get to know what their needs are outside of the analytics as well. But another thing that I use the analytics for is just a check and balance. Whenever I do have a room that goes over 50 and it's a niche room, I try to look and see at that interest section. Am I meeting the audience that I really intend to meet? Do they have the interest that I think that they do, so that I can just be, basically reassured that my audience attraction, since I'm doing more of a niche-based following strategy, that my audience attraction is actually, attracting the type of audience that I think would be a future client for me. And so that is one thing that I really do look at those interest sections. And I hope that anybody that does have an interest section that they need to update would. But I think that, since Clubhouse is now guiding people in setting those interests as they are, getting onboarded onto the app, it's actually really nice and reaffirming to look and see if they're interested in, the topics that I speak about, because it means that I have the right audience in the right room. And then we're then going in and looking and seeing, who are the people who are coming back over and over again, because we see that being the potential for our community. And we plan to monetize that community as well as bring on brand deals based on that community in the future. So we're trying to do a really high level nurture right now to build loyalty, especially as these other social audio platforms come out. And I think that analytic trackers really help us to understand who to prioritize our time nurturing. And so that's what we're doing.
I love that. I think the community is the biggest factor of it all, because once you start connecting your rooms, if you're a mod in different rooms, the people that even come to your rooms determine the kind of data you're going to get. Because when you're a mod and you're really tracking your rooms, whether it's your club or it's not your club, even the data that comes to that information is really based on what are the rooms that you're going into. So even your action, your movement also matters. So it's not just about what are we reading, it's about how are we using this to really boost our connections with people and also make ourselves discoverable. Some people use the same titles every week, and that's what works. Some people don't. Some people try. Some people really don't know if emojis work or if they don't work. So it's really a hard thing to figure out when we're still in beta mode, but the moment you keep testing, that's what's going to start happening. So before we go to JJ, I just wanted to do a quick reset in the room, because we have some amazing people that just joined us, and we're so glad to have you here. Andrea, Steph, Joanne, Angel, Dave, Meister, Mr. Bussy Boom, and Ron. Thank you guys so much for being here. And Ashley is also here. Thank you so much for being here, Ashley. This is exciting. You came at the right time, because I was just talking about how, first of all, we have a back channel on Clubhouse finally. If you don't have it, check it out and see if you got it. But there's a back channel, so if you have any questions, and I'm going to say this, if you have any questions, send a message to any one of the moderators in the chat, on the back chat, and we can answer your question. If you want to raise your hand, feel free to raise your hand. It actually feels different to say that, because it's always raising your hand. Now you can actually say, you can use the back channel if you want to send a message to us. So please feel free to do that. And also join the Pinterest and SEO marketing Facebook group. If you want to know how to get there, just click the link in my bio. When you get there, you can be able to get in, and then once you get to my link tree, that's going to give you full access to it. You're going to answer about 3 questions, and those 3 questions are new. So if you joined prior to the questions, you're lucky. So these next 3 questions are going to give you some critical thinking before you get in there. So we want to welcome Ashley. But I know JJ is here, so let's give Ashley a chance to introduce herself for a few seconds so that we can get to JJ's question if she has any insights for us, and let's get it started. Back to you, Ashley.
Hey, Favor, thank you. Hi, everyone. This is Ashley with the purple background. I'm excited to join the conversation. I apologize for being late. I was tied up with another commitment today. But this has been a hot topic as far as which platform to use, especially for measuring, quote unquote Clubhouse room success. So as we keep digging deeper, and I know Jocelyn is on, let me see if I got this right. Jocelyn is Team Clubhub, Julie and Favor are liking, and Direcon. Annabelle, you always seem on the fence with it, so I'm not sure which one. Because I popped into a room you did a few weeks ago, and you covered 4 different Clubhouse analytic tools. So there's that. But thank you for having me, and I don't want to take up too much more time since JJ was on stage before I popped in. So thank you so much. I'm done speaking.
No problem. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are all welcome, and feel free to join us if you can. JJ, thank you so much for waiting. How are you? Do you have any insights for us? Talk to us.
Yeah, hey, Favor. I just wanted to let everybody know, since I went to his first room yesterday, I set you on always. That's why I'm now stalking you officially around Clubhouse. So that's why I'm in this room. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting topic. And hey, nice to see you again, Annabelle. I saw her early on in my Clubhouse journey. I think it was last year sometime, I think. So it's nice seeing you again, Annabelle. And then it's interesting you mentioned back channels. So what's great about the back channel is I just came from a room and someone asked me I'm a YouTuber for my YouTube channel. So I was like, oh my God, this is great. I could just go get my link and send it to them, and they're going to go straight to my YouTube channel. I could potentially get a watch or a subscriber, where before you tell people, oh, it's here, and they got to leave the app, they got to go remember your name, type it up, maybe they won't, they might misspell it, so there are a lot of lost opportunities. But with the back channel and then the links being clickable, that was just amazing, right before you called my name. So just wanted to share that. But so I've never used the other ones. I think that's interesting, Annabelle. So there's 4. There's Clubhub. I've only used Direcon, and I just wanted to co-sign and share, because you were asking your co-mods what they're doing with the various different analytical tools. And I'm doing something that Julie mentioned. They're monitoring rooms that people leave your room to go to. That's actually helping us program rooms. So for example, we're doing a room and we find people leaving for a specific type of rooms, we're getting ideas. We're like, oh, that's a good idea. We're doing this YouTube room, people leaving a room to go to one about productivity. We're like, oh, great. We should do our next room on productivity. And we did that. We did a room on how to be more productive, but it was based on that insight we got from Direcon. And I think I forgot that you could, is it true that it has to have 50 people to get that data in the room? Is that really the limit? I don't remember.
Yeah, so it really is, because you have to be, and just to also go to what Jocelyn said some time back, when you count someone in a room, they have to be there for at least, I think, 60 seconds for it to count. As far as jumping in and out, it has to tally to about 60 seconds. So the 50 listeners, if you don't have 50 listeners actively at the same time, and then your max listeners on your live insights is usually duration, max, total, average stickiness, total time listen, and average time listen. So I think once it gets to the max listen and it hits 50, that's when that unlocks. I don't know if Julie, you've seen that, or JJ, if you've noticed that.
No, I didn't notice that at all. I didn't even know. I knew it was 50, but I thought it was 50 to get the data about the gender. And that was the second thing I was gonna say, is one with the room, the gender. data, because I'm in a field that's really male focused. I didn't realize it till recently. Really heavy male. So when we get to the point, we're not there yet of trying to court sponsors for the rooms potentially, or do brand deals for the rooms. That's something that's a differentiator that we can actually use. So the data, not just for just gathering data for our own analytics to know our community, but also when we do reach out to other people, we can say our differentiator is that our rooms court more female in a male-centered industry. So if there is a sponsor that actually wants to reach female, or want to have the appearance, whatever, of connecting with women who are not, be more inclusive of communities that are not popular in that industry, we have that as something that we can actually sell, knowing that gender breakdown that I think you can get the Direcon. I don't know Clubhub, so I don't know if you can get it with that data, but when Julie said that, I was like, oh yeah, that's what we're using it for. Planning rooms, gender differentiator, and then Annabelle mentioned loyalty, the number of people come back to your rooms. That's true, because at some point we're giving people moderator privileges for our club. So we want to be able to track to say, you have to at least attended our room, so you know how the flow of our room goes, you know about the community, in order to you to get moderator privileges. And then we're going to we're going to release different perks for being a moderator on a different levels based on, how many rooms you moderate and how well you're part of the community. So that's another thing, is like data about the community for purposes of when we're ready to, branch out and do more things and open it up to have more levels of membership. So just wanted to share that. And then actually what's the difference? I know that I think it was Jocelyn said there's two differences between the two. It's the same thing, but data differently. What's the difference with the data that you guys could say? What differentiates? Or maybe one thing that's good about Clubhub that Direcon doesn't have. Maybe that's the question.
Okay, so this is Jocelyn. I will touch on a couple things. One, I love the perks idea. You just sparked a whole line of ideas off of what you just said, because I think it is amazing. Okay, so that just a good idea. Okay, so there's that. But secondly, I am a huge data nerd, super, super data nerd. And so when I say it's the same data, just presented differently, what that means is, yes, both will show you how many listeners you had in your room at any given time, right? Both will show you what your total number of listeners were. Both will show you how long people were staying in your room. But the calculations that Direcon uses is different than the calculations that Clubhouse uses, is different than the calculations that Monitor uses, right? So you have to be very, very cognizant of what the calculations are behind the numbers you're looking at, and then you're able to then make those decisions based off of that knowledge. And I think a lot of people will just take those numbers face value, which is great. Don't get me wrong, I think that's great. But what happens is, since they're taking those numbers at face value, they're not actually making decisions that will match what they're trying to do in their business, because they're thinking, oh, the average listen time is this. Well, if you know how the average listen time is calculated in Clubhub, it's if I'd hopped out of this room and in this room and out of this room and in this room, it'll add all of those times together. Versus Direcon does that calculation differently, right? So that makes a difference on how you're going to continue on and continue forward with the numbers. So, okay, that was a lot of jargon there. So just basically look at the numbers, understand how the calculation was got to, and then use that to make a decision. Okay, I'm done talking. That was a lot.
No, thank you. That was great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I think I've seen you in other rooms, and you are known as the room monitor, data nerd, as you call yourself. So yeah, you have a reputation already.
Thanks.
This is great knowledge to have. And in case you guys don't know, and you just stepped into the room, the announcement, there are two big announcements that happened when I first got into this. The first one, if you guys know about the back channel on Clubhouse, it's available, the chat feature. And then secondly, Direcon supports Green Room. So you can track your Green rooms on Direcon. And this is a big thing, because Green Room and Clubhouse, when you think about chats, when you think about features, when you think about connecting, especially in Green Room where things are still green, for real, things are still fresh. You don't really know what's going on. You can't tell who's coming in, who's going out. I've heard a few people that, have been able to, get in there. So I think at this point, when you really think about the focus and the target and the angles and what you want to do on this apps, it's really going to change your experience. And I've been on Direcon since it first started, and I remember so well when Direcon you couldn't even like track clubs. You couldn't even, that was way back. I don't even remember how far back that was, but you couldn't even check your account insights. But now that has happened, it's increased. And I love Direcon 2. I forgot to mention this, guys. We talked about this last time, that Direcon has partnered with ConvertKit. Yes, Direcon has partnered with ConvertKit, so you can actually have newsletters, and they waive the fee for your ConvertKit, and you can be able to have a newsletter for Clubhouse. So I don't know what Clubhub is doing, because I keep coming with different points, and I really want to know, because Clubhub is great. I love Clubhub, but I don't really see much of what I can use it for myself, as opposed to what like I'm paying for, if that makes sense. So if that can be justified, I really want to hear from Jocelyn, Annabelle, because I know you guys are Clubhub diehard fans, and I don't know, because I know Ashley. Oh, Ashley, you too? Okay. It's fine. I think it's 302, but it's all good. No problem. But yeah, I really want to know, like, based on your statistics with Clubhub, right? Let's say you're done with a room. How do you determine your next room with the features you have? Because features on Direcon are completely like night and day. So I want to know, what are the differences?
Okay, I'll jump in here, because I have a whole philosophy on how you set up the rooms. I'm just going to say that, but I won't dive into that. With that though, how I use it to set up my next rooms is this is something that I do, and I don't know if anyone else does this, but I'm going to look at the last room I tracked. It tells me when, like, the distribution of when people signed up. So like if I have 30 users, 7% signed up in the last 7 days, 20% signed up, within the last month, etc. So I use that, and then I also use what my audience is interested in, which is things that the Clubhub obviously drops, and I use those emojis. So like if you're live and you're listening, right, Direcon and Clubhub Analytics for Clubhouse Rooms is a title, but it has the little stats thingy in the front, and has little tree rooty thing. I don't know what it's called, whatever, plant. Okay. Emojis, right, because those have to do very specifically with networking and marketing, right, which is very important for this room. If you're interested in networking and marketing, you're going to probably want to know about the analytics behind Clubhouse. So I use those emojis to help me decide what words and what emojis I'm going to use in my next room, or in my my subsequent rooms. So like entrepreneurship is the bow and arrow, right? So there's that. Anyway, so that's kind of how I do it to make it more, I can't think of my words today, guys. I don't know, more intuitive. That's the word I was going for my next room, and continue to move forward. But I'd love to hear everybody else.
I would definitely want to hear what Julie has to say about Direcon, because I know with Direcon, when you use it and you have your rooms tracked, and like you said, when you track your interests, when you track your emojis, there's a way it plays a role in how people keep coming back. And it also kind of plays a role in what type of people come back to the rooms that you actually moderate. So have you noticed anything with Direcon as opposed to like what has been said by Jocelyn, Julie?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think I use it very differently than a lot of people in this room do. I'm not as much on the stats and the all of the deep dive specifics. I probably look at it from a more surface level than a lot of you dive into it, just because of the nature of my business. It doesn't necessarily, it applies, but it doesn't all at the same time. So I think because I use it more for personal reasons, some of it is on the business side. I just have a little bit different perspective of it. And I mean, in general, I think that both of them are very similar. We talked about this last time too, that both platforms are very, very similar in what they can provide. It's just kind of, the difference between a Mac and a PC. right? Like you're going to be Team Mac or you're going to be Team PC. It's really one or the other. And at the end of the day, it's going to be what functions best for you. And I love the fact that Favor uses what's the thing called again that Direcon connects out to?
ConvertKit.
Thank you. ConvertKit, which I'm super interested to find more about. And I think any way that you can add some sort of an extension or automate something or connect technology together, just the same way that, Direcon or Clubhub connects into your Clubhouse, I think it makes a lot of sense. And make your life easier by adding those connections in, make things seamless, and have your items automated as much as you possibly can at the end of the day.
Can I say that I'm so excited that whenever you mentioned ConvertKit now integrates, because I just started like this week or maybe 2 weeks ago, started doing room notes, and one of the exchanges for the room notes is the emails. So now with ConvertKit's integration, we can actually connect those emails that we're collecting from people in exchange for the room notes, and send them weekly newsletters and tell them about other stuff that we have going on and promote our videos and things. So yeah, thanks for that. I'm about to leave and go check that out right now, actually.
Yeah, it's a really, really great platform to use, because when you have ConvertKit, even though you have another CRM and you're thinking about segmenting, it's really good to really track down and see how you can be able to make sure that the people that are getting your emails are getting them from the right source. You have the right SSL certificate. You're able to really make sure that your embedded codes are, in your blogs. I love the fact that you can add your embedded codes to the blogs. So let's say you're talking about your show notes, for example, and you have your ConvertKit embedded code to the blog, which is within the article. Now, when you upload it and somebody signs up, somebody that's not even on Clubhouse finds your show notes and they sign in and they opt in, when they opt in, now you're giving somebody that's an outsider a chance to actually come into Clubhouse through you. So now, if that is also creating a lot of voice, a lot of, credentials, a lot of credit for Clubhouse. Now, I love the fact that I didn't mention this earlier, that if Direcon is connected with, and they've partnered with Shopify, they've connected with Eventbrite, they've connected with Deezer, and they've connected with Squarespace. That just tells me that, especially when it comes to Eventbrite, a lot of people don't think about using Eventbrite for free events and using those as direct links for signups so that you can actually create leads through Eventbrite, because Eventbrite has a high domain authority when you think about SEO. I don't know if you guys have thought about that or it's being used. Some people used to use it back in the day. When it comes to some people even run ads with their Clubhouse event links. I've seen some of them. So people are doing different things to build discoverability, but are they doing it to test it, or are they doing it because they know what the strategy is after that? So this could be popcorn style to anyone. And if you guys are in the audience too, please feel free to raise your hand so that we can, join the conversation, or you can message one of us in the chat on Clubhouse. Anyone can actually answer this question. It's open.
Yeah, this is Annabelle, and it's very interesting because people are becoming more interested in creating live events based off of their Clubhouse community, and so I think that the Eventbrite integration is going to be really interesting, because what it's going to do, right, is it's going to give visibility to how many people are in the room, how many clicked and converted, right, and that could be the same for email integration in Shop. So this is kind of a big deal when you start to think about what are easy ways for me to understand if the people in my Clubhouse room are coming over and they're buying. If they're coming over, they're joining my events, or even just curious and clicking, so that we can start to track and see, what are the points of conversion that are working, not working, and that type of thing. And I also think that for instance, if you use your Shopify shop or one of your stores to, maybe put a brand product or something like that in there, or whatever you may be doing, it could be very interesting to then give even more visibility to that type of conversion, as well as just simply to drive traffic. So as we are driving traffic from Clubhouse rooms, this is what's missing in the branding conversation right now, right? Is from the whole visibility, right? What percentage of that visibility in that room, or not really visibility is the wrong word, but listenability or whatever you want to say, what percentage of the people in that room that are listening are actually taking action and going somewhere else? And so this is a great way to kind of think, are they going to email? Are they going to go to my event? Are they going to buy from my shop? Are they going to my website? All of these things are going to be very interesting for creators to know, to make decisions about, what room titles drive the most action, right? Like those types of things. It's gonna be super cool. And I never really thought about even using Eventbrite to market your Clubhouse rooms. That could be very interesting too. I never thought about that.
Can I chime in?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that. So I'm doing a little bit differently, and not Eventbrite, but first is using the Clubhouse notes to bring people back to Clubhouse. I made a calculation that some people would just never go to Clubhouse. Clubhouse, I think there is it's like an avatar. There's a type of, I've identified this, and this is just me in my head. I could be wrong. The type of people that will actually come to Clubhouse, join the community, join rooms, is a specific type that exists. They don't exist in the Discord chat server that I'm on, right? They're not going to necessarily be in Facebook. They're not necessarily going to be in a Reddit community. They're just not going to come. So I'm using the experiences I had in Clubhouse, with connecting and having these rooms and sharing these notes and writing down notes based on the rooms in Clubhouse to actually get those people outside that would never come to get into the email list. So I send them out, say, hey, you couldn't make the meeting, whatever, but here are the notes for it. So they'll come in and they'll opt into the notes. And then they'll get you in the email sequence for products, not necessarily bring it back to Clubhouse because they're not coming, but to use the information that we got from Clubhouse to get them on the email. So it's almost like using the emails, the notes from the Clubhouse as a lead magnet, if you will. So it's a little bit twisted, a little bit different, but it's just that's my experience. I don't think that those, like some of them, like little kids, like they're never coming to Clubhouse. Like, they're like, that's for old people, you know what I mean? But they, in the YouTube world anyway, they may be interested in the fact that Clubhouse is where all the people that they're watching on YouTube, like they'll watch Sean Cannell, they'll watch Nick Nimmons, they'll watch, vidIQ or Channel Makers YouTube videos religiously every single day, every single week. But they're not going to come and listen to them speak or ask questions for them inside Clubhouse. So if I can use that as like, hey, Nick Nimmons has some questions, they'll be like, oh yeah, what is it? They don't come to me, but they'll, I'll go to them. I'll go where they are. So that's just a different spin.
Yeah, I love the way you talked about that, because as soon as you were thinking about that, what came to my mind was Direcon have really thought about the user experience of not just the apps that you're using to track, but also the experience after, the follow-up, the continuation. They say the event is in the follow-up. If you're able to follow up with someone that has come to you, come through your funnel, acknowledge them, that's a huge thing. And I'm thinking now with Green Room, if you're using Direcon, if you're using ConvertKit, and if you have a podcast, now your podcast has show notes that you can send through ConvertKit. You can segment your Clubhouse list from your Green Room list, and you can be able to have podcasts in Green Room and still repurpose it back to Clubhouse in a way that you can actually maybe do a recap. So there's so many ways you can repurpose content within these platforms. So I'm really looking at Clubhub, because the things that I saw on Clubhub that were not on Direcon are now on Clubhub, are now on Direcon. For example, Direcon didn't have affiliate programs. They didn't have affiliate links. Now they do. Now Direcon has affiliate programs where for each new subscriber that pays the payment plan through your link, you actually earn 40% commission on their first payment, and then for every other recurring payment you get 20%. I don't know what the affiliate percentages are for Clubhub, but this is what is happening now, and I really love the fact that they're focusing on community growth. And even look at Shopify too. When you think about referral traffic, Pinterest is a huge referral traffic search engine. And if you have a Shopify account, if you have a shop there and you have your keywords indexed, there's so many things you can be able to get. And if Shopify is connected to your club, you can talk about giveaways. You can talk about sending your email list codes that you can be able to go back to Shopify. Your Shopify has a pixel tracker. So if you start going tech mode, you start realizing that all these things are interconnected and you can really use it for a great experience. So I wanted to know about the affiliate program from Jocelyn or from Annabelle when it comes to Clubhub affiliate programs. So back to you guys.
Yeah, I think Annabelle and I probably are going to have two separate affiliate programs. I'm with Clubhub's original. I was the OG affiliate. So I have a different deal than every other affiliate out there. So I would like to hear what Annabelle has, and then I can kind of fill in the gaps on what I have as well. AB, have you gotten any affiliate payments yet from them? I'm sure you have.
No, actually, I think I have not gotten a payment, and it might be because I need to go and fill it out, and I haven't pushed it that much, but I do know I've had a couple signups, so a couple people have signed up.
Annabelle, I signed up, so be sure that you get mine.
Yeah, I think it's like $11 or something so far last time I looked, but I haven't looked, because it's not my main source of income. But I'll go check it out. For me, I think I get I think it's like $7 or something if someone signs up, which I'm super appreciative of Ashley for signing up using my link. But mostly, I actually kind of talk about them not just because I'm an affiliate, but because I think that Clubhub gives you a really good view of what is going on in the Clubhouse ecosystem that I don't think Direcon does. And I think for people that are kind of just feeling a little bit lost on Clubhouse, they know that there's a place for them, but they don't know exactly, where their community is or which rooms are doing well. I think that Clubhub gives a really good view of that. So I know you had even asked earlier a question like, how do you come up with your room titles, or how do you use these analytic trackers to kind of understand how your rooms are doing? And I've always used Direcon to kind of go back and repeat successes, right? Like my rooms are all at the same time of day, but sometimes I want to try something at a random time, right? So going back and looking, what was that one room that did really well? What day of the week was it? What was the mod squad that day, and trying to like repeat that success, or, maybe add an emoji the next time and see how that works. And just kind of go with the flow with that. But also, we've been looking at the Clubhub dashboard to see all of the rooms that are live, because you can see basically how many people are in each room and what the titles all are, all at one view. And I think that that's been really helpful in kind of understanding, like, if I'm titling my room this way and somebody else is, doing a similar topic, but it's like slightly more polarizing, or like what topics are doing really well? Are they really broad, or are they really niche? Like having that kind of like big picture view, I think is something that clubhub.site does a really good job of. So we've been kind of mixing the two when we're thinking about, what is going to be best for us to figure out, what is our next move. And I think that, sometimes having a combination of them, it would be nice if they all did one thing. But I will say that, like, when I need a clear picture, like a really fast, clear picture, I go to Direcon. And it'll be even more interesting to see it integrating with all of these things and showing us those analytics. Because even if we got, like, something as simple as click-through, right? Click-through from the, like, so if you guys go into the back chat, your live link, right? You can send a live link. And it's going to be a mobile live link, right? But what if we could get that click-through, right? What if we could get the link sent, someone clicked right to our website and get that information? I think that that's going to be very informative for us. So especially, if it tells us the name and the Instagram handle, and then we can tie that into other analytics that we have on our web pages and whatnot. So it's becoming more dynamic, and we're getting more information, which is way better, because in January we were just taking screenshots on our phones. So it's helping us, and that's why I really give the shout out to Clubhub.site and Direcon and CH Tools, because they all help us, and they all have free versions that help. And then, they do throw me a little bit of money if someone signs up with my discount code. And that's just kind of a perk, just knowing that the community has more information to create more. So that's my story. I'll pass it to Jocelyn for her.
Yeah, so I was the OG, like the original. And so I have a huge discount. I should say huge discount, but I have a discount for anyone that signs up with my code. So mine's an affiliate link and a discount code all wrapped into one. And I have recurring payments turned on for mine. So every time somebody pays with my code, I get money, which is exciting. So I get paid out like once a month, depends on when I ask for it. And usually my payment's in the 300s. So I started back in April. And so I've gotten paid once a month since then. So, do that math for yourself if you like. But I make a recurring 25%. So it's a little bit different, but like I said, I was the OG. I was the one that helped them set up their affiliate. And I changed my affiliate amount. So I think my affiliate amount is a little bit lower than Annabelle's, but I took that extra payment and I passed it over into a discount for those that signed up with me. So yeah, that's my story. Mm-hmm.
Now I got a question for you. This is the question. Do you remember when you talked about room value? Is it still there? And how effective is it? Because I know that's one thing Direcon does not have.
Yeah, I forgot Direcon doesn't have room value. So I believe it's still there. No, it's not. It's not there anymore. Yes, it is. Duh. Yeah, it is. Duh. I can't see. Guys, I'm so super tired today. I don't even know what my problem is. But yes, it's still there. It's extremely effective. I've made lots of money off of room value. Yeah. So, and it's just a starting point. So I take, as an example, I take the analytics from my room. So like the room I keep looking at is the last room I did. It was like this morning, I think. Yeah, like this afternoon, this morning, right? And I think there was like 50 people that came through it. It wasn't my room. I was a co-host. And so I'm able to say, okay, there's going to be 50 people there, right? We're going to post it on the Instagram twice, right? And that makes the income or the cost, the sponsorship cost obviously go up. We'll send out an email before, and then we'll send it an email with after the room with the like show notes of the room basically, and then we also add in a blog 9 times out of 10, depends on the client, but depends if they have the ability. But that way we're really increasing our value, and we're able to say, like, you're not just sponsoring a room, right? That one-time thing for that 59 minutes, right? Like, is one I'm looking at, right? Which is worth about $75 based off the numbers that happened here. But you're also going to push that forward. And the other thing, and this is the nice thing about the clubs feature of Clubhub, is you're able to look at what your club is doing in general. So if somebody wants to sponsor your club for a week, or if they want to, whatever your deal would be, you can then take that information and kind of disseminate that into another price point, which is really nice. So yeah, the cost per room is still there. It is still functioning. It is still my formula, and it works. Yes, I should. I'm not biased or anything, but yeah.
When you said the formula, now I was thinking, what type of formula does it work for every single room? And okay, I see. Okay, tell me more about that, because I want to know how it really makes sense. Because in my mind, the only way I'm thinking about room value is the people that come in the room. One, how dense the title of the room is, and the club, how reputable the club is on Clubhouse. So the room value, how is the calibration? Because that's something I really want to I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, so the only rooms I've had sponsored up to this point are recurring rooms, meaning they happen over and over again. Like this Direcon Clubhouse room, this is the 3rd time we've done it, right? So we can look back at the data of the other 2 times and benchmark what we can expect going forward. And so that is one. I don't do one-off rooms. I find they're really, really hard to quantify and push forward. And the value, at least from what I've seen, the value for a lot of my clients, not necessarily huge. Not saying that it's not great, but if you're going for that brand awareness campaign, that audience building campaign, you want to be in front of those people more than once, right? And that comes from hiring influencers that speak on whatever subject more often than just that one time, right? Like, that's great that you have 15,000 followers, but if those only 5% of those followers even care, they're not going to come into the room, just that whole thing. So we do recurring rooms, so we benchmark off of itself, but then the actual formula benchmarks off of what you have done in the past, and also like kind of where your rooms are at, and then also what that specific room did, right? So how many listeners did you have come in? How long were those people hanging out, right? And it's benchmarked off of the idea that you're going to do a reset once every 10-15 minutes, which that's when you're most likely going to mention your sponsor. So, if they're only getting mentioned once because people are only staying in their room for 10 minutes, then it's a very different room value than if people are staying in your room for 45 minutes, and you can mention them 3 times, right? So that's kind of how my formula laid out.
That makes sense. It's pretty nice. And I want to know too from Annabelle, do you also have that same procedure for your room value, or do you even use it? I want to know.
It's really interesting because I'm more on the coaching side. So as far as brand room value, I think that average listening time and time in room based off of users in the right demographic is going to be really interesting to them. However, I am also looking at what is the basically customer lifetime value of the human beings in the room, right? And I think this kind of aligns with what Jocelyn was saying a little bit, but I'm really looking at it as, lead generation and also nurture for clients. So based off of, the people in the room, how many of them do I think are a qualified lead? And that qualified lead has a dollar amount for customer lifetime value. If it's somebody that is, a client and coming back over and over again, they're most likely to buy an upsell product or a done for you service. So their customer lifetime value goes higher. So I think that there's more than one thing to really consider. Like one is more like brand facing room value, and then the other is like more on the business side of what is the lifetime value of the leads that we are actually generating in each and every room. But I think it's going to come down to, stickiness, community, like repetitive listeners, right? I think that's going to be really important. And then if they're staying in the room or listening to the conversations that are going to most align to a brand. So that's how I've been doing it.
This is Jocelyn. I'll just chime back in and just say, I only mentioned part of the formula when I said, how long did people stay in the room? We also look at like the bounce rate and things like that, how many people actually came, how long the room was. All of this stuff is in there. But for me, I use that as an example because that helps quantify what they would be worth, right? If you meet somebody you never say what you do, they're not really a lead, right? Like they're not a lead because you've never said anything about, what services, what you could be providing them. So yeah, that's I just wanted to kind of pop that in there. But I completely agree with Annabelle that, that stickiness and how often people are coming to listen to you is really, really important. And I know I do like 99% of my rooms underneath my club, my main big club. And so it does tell me, at least in Clubhub, it will tell me like, I'm thinking about it. I'll think of the word. Maybe I should just open it up and it'll tell me the word that I'm looking for. It'll tell me my member activity and the top listeners that are covered, the top time spent in rooms, and that's got the people listed out, how long they were there, and or how many listeners were in that particular room, and how long that person has been in rooms over that, that course of that time. I think it's like a week. So that also helps me too if I'm trying to sell something, it gives me that idea. Anyway, passing the mic again.
Nah, that definitely makes sense. It just makes me feel like when you're in these rooms and you're actually conducting rooms, the titles really matter. How long the titles are really matter. Because even if you're sharing it to Twitter, for example, that counts as metadata, in case you guys didn't know that. So the more you're able to even push that out there and you have content that people are searching for, you're in the content feed and you're populating Clubhouse through your Twitter cards. If you're doing SEO right, you can end up having rooms that are bigger than you than you ever expected, because it's true. It's really true. Like you just don't understand how effective you can have a room. You're like, oh, I only got 5 people in this room. That's because you didn't post anything, you didn't capture anything, you don't have anything to lose really, because you didn't put in any effort. So if you're able to really track these rooms, make sure that your club is cohesive. Have your club. For my club, I want people in my club to meet each other, and people have met within this club. And that's the whole point of having a club in Clubhouse. You need to connect. It's not just one-time shows. It doesn't work like that. And that's why I think even the founders talk about having recurring rooms as a very effective way of being on Clubhouse, because that way you can curate your rooms just like you can be able to make that happen. So it's really great that we're talking about this today. A quick reset before we go to Philip. This is a Pinterest and SEO marketing club. You can also follow the Pinterest and SEO marketing Facebook group as well. Click the link in my bio and you click on my link tree. You can request to join and you can follow the Pinterest and SEO marketing Facebook group, because when we run rooms in here, we also go live on our Facebook group and it gets really intense. So if you want to be part of that, sometimes we jump on a Zoom call from Clubhouse. So it can really go any way depending on the room conversation. So make sure you guys are able to tap in, follow the club, because once we get to 1,000 members, 1,000 followers, it's about to change a little bit. We're gonna switch a few gears so that you guys can really enjoy being in this club. I don't know about clubs, but I just feel like expressions are great. And I can see already Ashley is already trying to join. So I'm gonna put you in as well. Feel free to join us, guys. It's a really nice place in there. Feel free to express yourselves because people will be going live in there and we'll just have a great time. So with that said, we're going to go to Philip. Thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have a question? And if you do, let us know if you use Direcon or Clubhub as well, because we want to know more about what you do.
Hi, Favor. So good afternoon or whatever part of a day you have. And ladies, good to see you again. I think we met each of us already before. So for those of you who a little bit follow my story on Clubhouse, I am a data scientist who puts his master skills into help of the metering Clubhouse, because back then, before the Direcon and Clubhouse, there were not a lot of options. So to start with your question, Favor, I actually am both Direcon, Clubhub and a few other tools user, actually a heavy user. And but what I also like to point out is that these tools only measure that much. So we actually commissioned a study to also do some general user behavior analytics, which because all of the Clubhub, Direcons and similar things only measure the specific rooms and specific accounts, but they don't tell you that much of the general behavior of the users. So that was what was kind of important for us. So we do an open book project. So if anybody interested, it's on themightydata.com, where there are free slides to take. But one thing which I'd like to bring discussion here is that one thing which was pretty promising and then got a little bit silent, and I think I second guess the reasons for is the demographic analytics of the audience. And I would have two comments to that. So first of all, Direcon attempted to do age demographics of the audiences. I had a little bit of the backstage discussion with them, because there are essentially two methods to do that, and one of them is pretty off the reality, and unfortunately they picked that one. So happy to try more details, but I don't want to kind of hijack the discussion in the direction unnecessarily. But there is no geographic demographics, and this is something which a lot of audiences and a lot of creators have been craving for. So to know what is the geographical makeup of your audience or of your usual room setup, and that is something which is still not happening. So that's a bit disappointing, and I think this is one of the bad things, because a lot of the other social media actually do offer this chance. So when it comes to kind of a very specific targeting, demographics is something with marketings, for good or bad, is the first choice, and this is pretty missing in the tools that we have available. I'm Philip and I'm complete.
That's a great point you mentioned, because with the other tools as well, there is not really much going on when it comes to tracking, because we're still in beta, if you really think about it, and all these things we're talking about are still getting developed. So we don't really have like a fully established interface that we can say, okay, this is the tools and features, because now we have Shopify, we have Deezer. If you have a podcast and you have a green room, you can track that. And if you have Deezer, that's also a great platform for you to use. So it's so amazing how you've mentioned this, Philip. And because you mentioned about data science too, and I can see the German flag too, I want to ask this question, because I think I got to ask this question to someone. I think Jocelyn was here, which was about Clubhub. Because if you look at the emojis, I don't know if it's changed, but the emojis on Clubhub, the German flag had a lot of, I think it was high engagement. So I don't know if it's because of the users, or maybe because it's ranking in the App Store that it was number one. But did you see anything like that when it comes to analytics? Because I noticed that, I don't know if it's changed, I haven't gone into Clubhub in a long time, but the flag was like number one right before entrepreneurship. So I'm not sure if that had anything to do with analytics or just discoverability.
Yeah, so emojis are kind of a separate thing. We did some research on that, to be honest, more on kind of how they're prominent in rooms, invites, and titles. But when it comes to like prominency, I mean, think about it. Germany was actually the first European market after the US, which was starting Clubhouse, and it got really big. And it is very often a bit sad that the app Clubhouse is so US centric, because a lot of large communities actually come out of the US, and I would now bet that the activity of the Clubhouse is more coming from the non-US communities, and German is a strong one. I wouldn't say the strongest one, because after the open for Android, of course, markets like Brazil and India take over. But before that, Germany was certainly one of the strongest one. So that is probably thinking in the right direction.
Now that makes sense. It makes it clear for me that that's understandable, because sometimes you don't really know. And even if you think about it, like with India too, like they've really come into the app as well. They've built a community. It's great. People are opening up. So I believe that at some point it's going to grow. Even there was a town hall there was a Nigerian town hall not too long ago, trying to highlight, the African countries and everything. So there's so much coming to Clubhouse that we're not sure how it's going to pivot. But the way it's going, and with this chat feature now going on, I really don't know how it's going to play out, especially for people in the room, in the audience. I don't know. So someone have to search for your name. So like you said, discoverability is something that is still being looked at, and I'm glad that you brought it up. So guys, we have about 22 minutes to go. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and ask us. But we're going to talk about this chat feature real quick. I don't know if everyone has it, because before I ask this question, by raise of hands, I was just about to ask. Jenna is coming up. If you guys have this back chat feature, please let us know, and let us know how you feel about it. Jenna, welcome to the Pinterest and SEO Marketing Club. How are you?
I'm great. I have a confession to make. I just came up so I could see the back chat, because I haven't seen it yet.
Oh no. So do you see it in your hallway?
No, I haven't been on stage with other people since they added the feature, so I just want to see what it looks like.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. That's fine. And I'm also you're welcome, because now that you've been mentioned with the back channel, there are two sections. There's the chat section, and then there's the request section, and then on the top right is where you can actually add the followers. So you know how people do it on Instagram naturally, because we didn't really have a back channel feature on Clubhouse. Now I'm wondering, do these chats stay after the room closes? This is just something, it could go popcorn style, because I don't really know how this is going.
Okay, so I earlier today I was in a room. I wasn't on the stage, but I was in the audience, and I sent a message to Suman from in the chat, and she didn't see it while she was speaking on stage. And about an hour after the room had closed, she responded back and said, "Oh, hi." And I said, "I'm just experimenting with it." And then 2 hours later, I saw it and I said, "Oh, I guess we can chat after the room closes." So I didn't realize that it would be something that you could initiate the conversation while in the room with someone, but then you can continue to have the chat. I thought that it would only be limited to the period of time where the room was open, but apparently not.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Ashley, did you want to say something? Because that's a really great point, Jenna, you mentioned right now.
Yeah, I just had an observation here that just with how people have been using DMs or getting people onto Instagram and things like that, I feel like I'm getting older, because every time something new comes out, I'm like, I hate it. And then I start to get used to it. And so I'm this old lady. I'm like, no.
I'm with you.
But yeah, I was actually added to a group chat on here earlier today, and I didn't see it until I opened my app to come onto this room. So that I thought was interesting. I also see on other social audio apps, they do more like a room chat room, which that setting I was like, oh, okay, I could get behind this. But as far as the DMs go, I just had to chuckle, because I'm like, everybody who invested in Instagram bots and the autoresponders is going to be so mad right now because that you can't do that with Clubhouse. So I'm sure someone will come up with a solution at some point when the API opens. Again, just like Favor had said, we're in a beta level app. Like, we are the testing group. They're listening to what we have to say. They're monitoring how we use it. They're figuring out what is successful and what isn't. And so, yeah, I don't know about this whole thing. There's a little dot for when you get a new message. It looks like Clubhouse, but it's also ugly from an aesthetic perspective. So it'll be interesting to see how people use this feature, or if people end up using it at all. Because I noticed I opened up the app to jump into this room. One, I was running late, so I was like, okay. And then I went to the bottom right corner to see my buddy list, and that was gone. That was just the airplane there for the chat feature. So it'll definitely take some getting used to. But how I use a back channel, one, kudos for the name, because I do think that's clever, and I think that is cute, that they've leaned into the culture that the Clubhouse community has created. We as the content creators have created. But right now, just to give you a perspective, I have my Android phone available for text from my family. I have Clubhouse on my iPhone right now in front of me to be able to watch the room, scan bios, take a look and see what's going on. I have one monitor up with a group Zoom with Favor and Jocelyn, because they were able to, Jocelyn, they're waving at me right now, because they were able to join it for the mod squad. And then I have another monitor up with a back channel chat that we have on Instagram. That's connected to my laptop, right? So that is my setup right now. And I like my setup because I can do things very quickly and efficiently and fast. Having the DM feature baked into the app, I think, is really great for those who aren't necessarily on here primarily for business. And somebody please come up here and be like, Ashley, no, that's wrong. This is the perspective here. But if I'm a moderator on a stage, or even a lead moderator, which Favor is doing an amazing job, you have some serious brain power today, because you're doing, I can't do what you're doing right now. But if you are monitoring the stage, you're watching for flashing mics, you are paying attention to who's in the audience, you're scanning people before you let them on stage. Now you've got a chat feature that you've got to look at. Maybe not all of your mod squad knows it or uses it, so now you also have it. Like, it's a lot. And I think that it could take away from the experience or the conversation, at least for a lead moderator. And there's things that a lot of us do. I see experienced moderators not only on stage, but here in the room, where we've created mod squads or teams, and then we all have support roles to make a Clubhouse room compelling and interesting and quote unquote successful. But yeah, it's just like a lot of distraction. And that's kind of been my personal resistance against, like Facebook announcing a social audio feature. Like, great, that's awesome, Facebook, but how are you going to get them away from the lives and the streams and the groups and the notifications and the images in their feed to have an audio conversation? Like, I don't know. We'll see. The people are going to take it and do with it what it will. But those are just some of my initial thoughts on this particular new feature. And then...
Hey there. I think I'd like to piggyback on what Ashley said and probably add a few things, because I was preparing a kind of a room next day with the most important things. So let me offload some of the facts that have been already recognized and collected about the chat feature. So first of all, maybe also to Jana, it's not necessarily linked to the stage, so it's actually a chat that you can use anywhere. It's more kind of really like Instagram message, so you don't have to come onto stage to use it. You can feel free to use it anytime and anywhere.
I noticed that now.
Yeah. And you can even use it for the group chat, up to 15 people. That is the limit that is now set. So you can create really kind of a group chat the way that you're used to, I don't know, Facebook or other social media. What is the most interesting and more fascinating thing for me, that the links are clickable in the back channels. So if you actually include the link, it works and it takes people. It is also a bit scary because it doesn't provide any previews. So be careful about clicking on the things. It can maybe take you some malicious places as well. But actually this is a breakthrough because now you can really kind of convey a message on external content through the messages as well. And what is also interesting is that it works kind of a permanent chat, so you can't delete the messages. And if you have a group chat, there were usually rules, especially for WhatsApp, that you only can see the conversation from the moment you joined. Actually, in group chat, you see everything when you edit later, so just be careful about it. If you badmouth somebody and then try to invite him or her into the group. And the last piece which I wanted to say here is that the actual communication through the back channel is working in a way that there are some rules who can give you a message directly. I will not go too technical here because it's described in the release notes. But what is interesting, once you actually grant a permission, you can't take it away. So be also very careful whom you actually agree to have back channel with, because then it becomes permanent. And the only way to get rid of it is to block the person as the blocking we used to know before the back channel. So the usual blocking of the Clubhouse way. So that's all I had to say. I'm Philip, I'm complete.
This is amazing. This is why we have this room every month, because we get some incredible information. I know, Annabelle, you were clapping. Do you have anything to add on?
Yes, yeah, it's very interesting because one of the reasons why I love that Clubhouse didn't have a back chat is the growth that you can have on Instagram by driving people over there, to either go to a live link or to message you. But today in my room earlier, a lot of people did message and it was relevant to the room, like, hey, gotta go. And like kind of things that you would kind of want to actually hear in the back chat, as well as thank yous. But I am definitely going to try sending out a live link tomorrow, just based off of a freebie from a business standpoint. I think that it's really cool to make the journey for anyone really short to get on your email list. So although that might take a little bit of the traffic away from Instagram for now, it kind of opens us all up to an opportunity to kind of think creatively, like driving people to content over there. And it is going to be a little bit labor intensive. So that's what Ashley was saying. I did just like literally last week invest in the bot to help me with some of the DMs on Instagram. And, who wants yet alone another inbox? But because it's live and it's dynamic and it's right there, if I have scripts that are already prepared and I'm copy and pasting responses in the room, that means that people can get on your email list in the room. And so I don't think that I could really manage like modding a room and having a thorough conversation with someone, but I could get them a link to get on my email list with a script really, really easily. And so I see that being as a way that if we do put the little effort and preparation in before our rooms and we do the calls to action, I'm excited to see how that converts. I think it will be very interesting. So yeah, excited to try it out tomorrow. New things are always a little scary and fun at the same time.
And here I am sitting feeling super left out. I updated it doesn't work on Android per usual. So I updated my iPhone app and now I can't log into Clubhouse at all. It keeps kicking me out. It doesn't matter what account, because I've got multiple Clubhouse accounts. It doesn't matter what account I'm logging into. I will log in, be able to see the hallway, and then it'll kick me out as soon as I try to click on anything. So here I am feeling super forlorn and left out.
Jocelyn.
I know. Jeez, I want a back chat.
Well, you get it. You're not missing much. There's no GIFs, whatever you want to call them. You can't tag anybody.
Oh no, I need GIFs. I need GIFs or whatever. Yeah, I need all that. Entertainment.
Well, and what I would find interesting, I haven't been able to be as active on the app over the last couple weeks due to client work. But what I'd be interested in is Annabelle, I think you've had a couple of rooms about this, or maybe just in the social media rooms that we've done in the past. I know that I've talked about it, at least. It's DM etiquette when you are trying to connect with someone on Instagram, and we've had to coach and kind of explain to people, sending something, hey, I love what you said on Clubhouse. is not great feedback when you do 2, 3, 4 Clubhouse rooms a week, or a couple ones a day, or you hosted your own and then you were in someone else's to support, and then there was a last minute conversation that you were able to jump into because your time freed up, or however that looks like. And so I think it's something that's also going to be super, super important if people are wanting to connect this way in the back chat, even more so. Just because when you are moderating, at least for me, I have to focus on what's going on on stage. I have to focus on what's going on in the room and what my mod squad is explaining to me. So if someone is being kind or wanting to ask a question through text instead of coming up on the stage, there's a greater possibility of me missing that. I think that if they sent the feedback in the room saying, hey, I love what you just said, that helps with context, so long as I can see the message in the room. But yeah, I think that it's definitely interesting. I want to see what this does for Instagram growth, because I have completely benefited from that. You know, I was pretty non-existent on Instagram until I jumped on Clubhouse in late January. And I mean, my first month over month numbers were, you know, an increase of 865% because I wasn't doing anything. It's easy to jump high when you start from zero and you start using the platform. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I'm also curious to see what will happen, because Clubhouse has mentioned releasing their own analytics tool in app come August, I think was the last I heard. I missed this. Okay, Annabelle's flashing her mic because I missed the last town hall and I haven't read Christian's recap notes, and I'm very, very behind on Clubhouse. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with solutions like Direcon and Clubhub. I mean, I feel like they've gotten the jump start ahead of Clubhouse per se, because Paul has been very vocal in the past against needing that or providing that or understanding why we want it. And so it could be one of those where, yeah, we are still paying for these solutions because what Clubhouse is able to provide isn't necessarily as robust as these other tools. So I'm done speaking.
Now, go ahead, Annabelle.
I was just going to say, these tools are taking direct feedback directly from Clubhouse users. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see when Clubhouse puts out their analytics, what analytics are important to them or that they think are important to us, because these other tools are getting feedback, you know, built directly with Jocelyn. And Jocelyn, I just wanted to let you know, the app let me DM you even though you don't have DM on your side. So you're probably going to miss some messages if we can't find a resolution for that. And that's so weird if Android users don't even have it and they're on the list where you can DM them. So really weird.
Jocelyn, I feel like you're probably blowing up right now.
Yeah, no, okay, so I have 2 different accounts on Clubhouse because, well, I'm that kind of nerdy. And I like to test things out on my throwaway account versus, I can't even log into Clubhouse right now on my iPhone. Like, it literally immediately says, like, oh, we're having an error with logging you in. And I've tried both accounts, like, oh, maybe it's just one account. No, doesn't matter. Can't log me in, won't log me in. And if it does finally let me in, it, like, almost immediately, so like, here, I'm gonna show the people on Zoom so they can see it. But so like, it's logged me. Oh, they can't see it at all. That doesn't work. Oh, okay, whatever. And I like go to click into this, and it says there's an error logging you in. Please sign in again. Yeah, no, I know what it's supposed to look like. I can see it, but like if I try to click on it, it like immediately logs me back out. So, no. I even updated my iPhone thinking, okay, well, maybe it's because I'm too low of an iOS or whatever. Nope, nothing. No clue. So, I can see it, but I can't actually open it without... Stop laughing at me, you guys.
No, okay, so, Jocelyn, you're missing this. So I went back out into the hallway to see what else I've missed in this update. And I'm sitting there cracking up here, because there is a room right now in my hallway that is no talking, DMs only.
Like, we're not even 24 hours in, guys. Come on. No talking.
same time, I'm like, we are on an audio app, people. So, which I can understand. You know, that's where the founders had their reservations with releasing this feature. But yeah, it is. Oh, my hallway refreshed, but it was DMs only, no talking. Yeah, here it is. H/T Nina. I don't know what that part means, but yeah, no talking, DMs only. And there's 5 people on stage, but the room, there's 82 people in there. There's 9 speakers.
Those are 82 DMs going back and forth. Can you imagine? I can see you just. Oh, Jocelyn. I think, Jocelyn, because why that is happening to you. 1, it could be Wi-Fi. 2, maybe because you're logged in on Clubhouse already. 3, Club Deck was doing me dirty because I have not been on there since they updated the app. So one of them could be the problem.
So I have a scenario I want to go over with you guys because I don't know if you guys have experienced this, and this might be something that it's a little bit off of analytics, but more on the back chat feature is, have you guys ever had somebody message you in your Instagram and they're like, I know you're there, right? And maybe you don't want to respond to them at that moment. Maybe just energetically, you're like in the middle of moderating a Clubhouse room. I could see, the stalker or the troll or somebody, creating very interesting environments for people here on Clubhouse in their back chat. I know, it's very rare for me that someone's like, hello, are you there? Are you there? I see you're there. I see you're online. Like, it's really kind of weird. And, but there are people like that out there, and I'm not even a big account. And I'm not even one of these hot single chicks on the app. So I just wonder, like, what are your guys' thoughts about what could happen? This being live, not having a block feature, not being able to return people back to request folder, like, what are your thoughts on, when DMs go haywire? And maybe this is a whole different room. I don't know.
Nah.
See, no, I've been too single for too long. I'll leave you on red. I don't give a shit. Like, bye-bye. I'm one of those people. Okay, I'm not single anymore. I should make that very clear to anyone in this room. Do not send me a DM and act like I'm not single, because I am very much in a very happy relationship. Ashley's met him. I like him, right? So don't do that. But, like, that's exactly what I'll do. I'll just leave you on red. Like, I'm one of those people, like, okay, thanks. And I've had people on this app do the whole, like, I know you're there. You need to answer me. Why aren't you answering me? Kind of man bullshit. And I'll just leave you on. I just won't respond ever again. Now you've completely lost me. Like, we're gone. Like, I'm poof, gone. You can see me, I'm sure. You can listen to me on the app. That's fine. Come on into my room. I'm not responding to you. So that's just how I take care of it. I won't even respond to that kind of stuff, because at that point, I'm not your mother, nor am I your keeper. So, sorry, but no, not sorry. I don't know. That's just me. But love to hear what other people do.
You know what? This is what I'm thinking. The first time I had, it's just taking me back, because if you go all the way back to, I think, season 2 of my podcast, I was talking to, I forgot his name. Oh my God. Damn, I forget. But I featured, if I remember as I'm speaking, I'll just say his name. And he said, and he told me that he thought that Clubhouse was Tinder the first time he came on the app. And he's really doing well right now on this app. But when I I wouldn't say the name, but I remember it. But anyways, the guy, he was really, really good with his content. And I love the fact that he mentioned that. So now that there's a chat feature on an audio app, it's going to change completely, because for me, the only way I can use this chat feature extensively and with responsibility as a professional would be to maybe set up a chat with the number of people. And when I send a chat with, you can't send pictures. No, you cannot. No, Jocelyn. No, you cannot send pictures. Because if you do, this app is going down south valley. Trust me. Really quick. There's already a DM feature. So you can imagine if the pictures were enabled right now. You can imagine what would be going on in there. So I would use this app and literally ask for everyone's consent and say, okay, we're going to put in a group, and then that group chat is going to turn into a private group that I can now create a link for, or maybe have a closed room that I can have with the people that I have within that chat. That's the only reasonable way I can use this. But if I want to use it for pictures and yada, 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 I'm not going to be doing this. So I don't know what you guys think.
Well, I'm with AB in Annabelle, for those who, sorry, that just kind of slips there, Annabelle. Back in the early days, someone called her AB, and it's just stuck because it fits so well. But yeah, I can see there being some conflict because some people are like that ballsy and that they enjoy that confrontation. It's almost like they get a high off of the drama. And so I can see them, being like, why aren't you talking to me? But in response, I'm also in Jocelyn's part where it's like, I'll get to you when I can get to you, dude. Like, just, give me a moment. And Favor, what you brought up with the group chat, I think that is a really, really good idea. My only thing with that is that they cap it at 15 people, including you. So now it's only 14 people that you're talking to, which could work well for high ticket, but I wouldn't do it for a freebie or a gifted or a low ticket kind of situation. That's what I think your Facebook groups or Telegram chats or those kind of group communities are for. But I could see it like if you had a high ticket program. See, now I'm giving 3 brilliant geniuses an idea, I hope. So if you have a high ticket program, a coaching program or a consulting program specifically, and you have a segment or you do an intensive where Clubhouse is involved and you get everybody on the app and I don't know, utilize it however, Favor had described, that I can see. That I think that there could be some really interesting value there. I think it's harder. I haven't tried. Actually, I'm going to do this right now. Favors, I'm going to send you my website because I want to know if there's hyperlinks in this thing. There are.
Oh, yeah.
So
it is there.
That's kind of cool. I don't know if that was covered yet, and I apologize if it was, but that's kind of cool. So you could have someone there to, well, and that's the other thing. I know people that have quote unquote, I don't know, I want to be cool, but I can't think of the name, but like sleeper ninjas in the Clubhouse rooms or whatever, monitoring things for them and checking out bios and stuff like that. They've hired assistants to do that. I think what this could also be is like I could bring on an assistant and say, everyone, this is Sally. My assistant is going, if you're looking for, I have a link that I'm going to send you for this special offer. If you're interested, send her a message. She'll send the link. So it's a little bit more transparent there. I don't know. I'm literally spitballing this. The first time I've seen anything. I haven't played with all of it, and I'm going to be quiet now because we're losing people. I'm done speaking.
Well, I'm going to lose more people and say, I got into Clubhouse and they kicked me right back out. I got really excited. Everyone on the Zoom was like, yeah, and I was like, yeah, no.
Oh, I know. This is amazing. I'm glad that we're able to really do this because I know when we're back again in August for this Direcon versus Clubhub analytics for Clubhouse rooms, it's going to be different. So I would just say this, guys, for the ones who really stayed till the end, try and use Direcon or Clubhub to your maximum potential. See what works for you. If you're thinking about email lists, use it to your advantage. If you're using Green Room for Spotify, Podcast, Deezer, go ahead. If you have a product and you want to do giveaways, use Shopify. If you have Squarespace, I'm sure Wix would be somewhere hanging in the low fruit over there. So you can really do anything that you want to do. I'm really having a good time because people are leaving for networking and, it's a chill room. There's really not much marketing going on in here. So if you guys want to be part of this, make sure that you're able to tap into each of these platforms. And this is just a pro tip. Use, and we've talked about it earlier, use Eventbrite for leverage. You have 1,000 people to invite. use those 1,000 people, and if you know how to use keywords right, especially with Eventbrite, because it has a high domain authority, then what you can be able to do is that the tags that you're given, those tags tell you how many events are running. So if you're talking about marketing, about entrepreneurship, business, fill up all those tags. It's like filling up a video tag on Pinterest. And then when you put that out there, that's organic traffic. So if you're having a room and you're scheduling a recurring room, people can start signing up prior to your room happening. So, I mean, you could take it or leave it, but that's what I'm going to start doing, guys. So with that said, I'm going to just let Jocelyn, Annabelle, and Ashley say your last words, popcorn style, before we close the room.
Well, I think to really just close out this room / podcast, I gotta say, if I could send gifts in the Clubhouse chat, I'd be hitting up Ashley so I could get some gifts made, very specifically of me. But you can't. So there's that. In the meantime, I'm gonna get on Clubhub and try to figure out some cool things to have the next time we hop up into this room, so I can chat away on that. And I'm gonna keep the mic going and pass it on.
Well, yeah, it's so interesting because I think that the numbers from our rooms can be so empowering to us as creators, because sometimes in the whole ecosystem of Clubhouse, we can feel like, maybe my room wasn't the biggest one in the hallway today, or maybe it was, whatever it may be. That can feel really comparative, right? But when you look at, if I were to go back and look at my rooms from February to now and really look at like the people who are in my community, I now have a community that comes every single morning to my rooms because we've been consistently creating content. And I learned about that, and I started diving into that strategy because I noticed that pattern in my data. I started noticing like, wow, this information has a little bit of a community element. Oh my goodness, people keep coming back. Oh my goodness, these 5 people have come every single day for months and months and months. Maybe I could include them in a more powerful way. Maybe I could make them a moderator. And so this data, and these new features like the back chat and these integrations with Direcon, they are empowering us to make a bigger impact. They're empowering us to better understand how our content is touching the lives of others. And to me, that is such a cool thing. And we haven't even gotten into the power of what brand sponsorships are going to be. But I will say that the creator that has data, from February till now is going to have a really great positioning when they go to a brand, right? Or even if you're just starting today and you get clubhub.site or Direcon or CH Tools and you start tracking, and then we meet you again in August, you're going to be in a better position to go present your community or your rooms to brands. And so I love having this conversation, and I love that it's ongoing because these apps keep adding new features in, and it'll be really interesting to see how much more dynamic they can make it and how many more decisions we can make about how we create and what we create because of our numbers. So those are my final thoughts. Thank you.
All right, everyone, this is Ashley, and I'm going to do this because no one else has. Be sure that you're following these moderators that I am here with on stage. They are amazing people. If you're wanting a high-quality Clubhouse experience, these are the peeps that are going to bring you the best content on the app. So be sure that you follow, hit that bell if they said something of value, go send them some social love with that digital currency, follow them on Instagram and Twitter, and see us next time we are here. We've got some cool stuff going on and some great conversations always happening. Pinterest and SEO marketing is the club that we are under. Hit the bell, follow the club, and you'll be notified of all of the upcoming rooms inside of Favor's club here on Clubhouse. Thank you so much for joining us. Favor, mic back to you.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and Jocelyn is also here having fun with some filters, so it's okay. It's okay. This is why we love this place, and we're just excited to have you guys here. Please make sure you follow the club, as Ashley said. RSVP, make sure that you know what's going on, because this room is going to come back again next month. We're going to be in the middle of the month, so make sure that you're here, because this is the 3rd time. So the 4th time we're going in, we're going to have a lot more options. We're going to have a lot of more Direcon and Clubhub analytics that's going to be there for you to use. And if you know how to use them, please make sure that you do. And also, if you have this chat feature enabled, please send us a DM in it's going to be very weird. But send us a DM, a meaningful DM, something, send what you think, because at the end of the day, you never know what connection you can bring. And Instagram has been great for that. So you can only imagine what can happen on Clubhouse. So make sure you guys are tapped in. Click the link in our bios. Catch on anything that you see there that really interests you. And feel free to reach out to us. And we're so excited to have you here. Once again, this is the Pinterest and SEO Marketing Club. We've been talking about Direcon versus Clubhub analytics for Clubhouse rooms. And we're going to close out now. We've been here for almost 2 hours. And I'm so glad that we were able to be here and talk about this. So guys, enjoy yourselves. Have a great evening, a great afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And a good night, and we'll catch you guys in the Clubhouse streets, in the DMs too. Bye. I know you loved that episode, so if you want to join the Pinterest and SEO Marketing Club, make sure you click the link in the description and join us today. See you guys there.